Hello there guys, what is going on? Son of Chelsea back here again for another edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Hope you're all doing well and keeping safe on this Thursday. Going to be talking today about Christian Pulisic's big return from injury. Also Kai Havertz, Frank Lampard quotes on a midfielder, and also Fikayo Tomori going out on loan potentially to Everton this season. But before we get into any of that, I want to ask you guys, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Also hit that like button if you're enjoying the content, because it helps out the channel as well. Let's start off with the big news for me. It's sort of 50-50, I guess, for some people. Firstly, the squad numbers being confirmed by Chelsea today, and the big revelation from that, not only, of course, the new signings, and just to confirm the new signings, their squad numbers for the season. Thiago Silva gets number 6, Timo Werner gets number 11, the same number he had at Leipzig. Ben Chilwell gets number 21, of course, can't take the number 3 shirt yet because Marcos Alonso is still at the club. And finally, Kai Havertz taking the number 29 shirt from Fikayo Tomori. That was obviously a special number for him, the same number he had at Leverkusen. Going back to Christian Pulisic, who of course has now been given and officially confirmed as Chelsea's new number 10. Willian leaving, that number was available. Of course, there's a comparisons to Eden Hazard. How much do numbers actually matter to people? I think that's always a thing for me. You know, whether the guy's wearing 10 or 45 on the back of his shirt, if he's banging in goals week in and week out, doesn't really matter. But I think marketing-wise, the inspiration behind, of course, Eden Hazard, I'm sure the club will be really behind this. Now, I hope if you got numbers on the back of your shirt and you got Pulisic, you didn't go in quickly and get Pulisic 22, and hope maybe you could get a refund on that, because I did think that it was very likely that Christian Pulisic would be getting that number 10 shirt, of course the same number he wears for the USA. And of course for me, the bigger story other than the number is Christian Pulisic being fit for this game, because I think it's absolutely massive, a massive boost for Chelsea. We didn't expect him to be ready, but Simon Johnson broke this story for The Athletic a couple of days ago ahead of time, and of course Ziyech and Chilwell won't be ready for the game as we expected based on their injuries, but having Pulisic ready for this game is absolutely massive. He's clearly been dedicated. I remember, I think it was the day following his injury against Arsenal, he was very adamant on his Instagram saying, I'm going to be back stronger, and clearly he's recovered quicker than expected, which is a boost for Chelsea, something we did not have last season. Let's hope this sparks a trend of better news regarding injuries this season and players can recover quicker from that, because we're going to need it in the squad. But he's an inspirational player. He's a game changer. And I really hope the fact he's going to now have the opening game of the season to play, maybe he'll start. I think he should start. If he's 100% fit, he should be starting that game. He's Chelsea's best player on form for me. Of course, with those new signings coming in as well, but I'm so happy his season won't be halted now and he won't have a slow start to it. I think he's got absolutely the capability this year to be Chelsea's best player. I really do. 1920, the back end of 1920 was astonishing for Pulisic. I think he can reach a new level this year in terms of goals, in terms of assists. I think goals are a big thing for me with Pulisic. I think he can score way more than the likes of Eden Hazard, because I think he's got that not only sort of confidence and belief in himself, self-belief to get into the right positions, create something out of nothing, but anticipation for goals, especially from delivery like Reece James and Ziyech over the season. I think he can score a lot over the season for Chelsea. So really happy he's ready for that game. It's going to be exciting to see that opening lineup. My team selector will be out over the weekend. Will you be getting Pulisic number 10 on the back of your shirt? Let me know in the comments below. Next is going to be about Kai Havertz and Frank Lampard giving quotes to the Chelsea website about him joining. Haven't heard much from Frank Lampard since the signing, but finally he's broken the silence about it and spoke about Kai Havertz as a player. And just before I read out his quotes and react to them, it seems like Kai Havertz is settling really well at Cobham, because of course there haven't been many players there recently. Of course he had his individual training session, which the club released over the weekend after he signed officially. And it seems like he's very much in contention for starting that game against Brighton now. I mean, it may be a case of players being injured or available at the time for Frank Lampard, but I think that would be another big boost, wouldn't it? Seeing that starting 11 and seeing Kai Havertz's name in that starting 11. I'm not entirely sure whether he will actually start, but I definitely, of course, think he's going to feature in that game, and that's a big boost for Chelsea as well. But Frank Lampard giving quotes, this is what he had to say about Kai Havertz signing for Chelsea. Kai is a really exciting signing for myself and for the club first and foremost. He is a player I've been aware of for a long time as a fellow attacking midfield player. I have paid particular attention to those type of players for some time. I was aware of his talent, and in conjunction with the club, we know how we want to go forward forward and look to improve in the right areas, and for players who are going to be here hopefully to improve and mature but are already at a high level, he is absolutely fitted the bill for us, so I'm delighted to have him. Then referring to the comparisons between Lampard and Kai Havertz, he says it is very easy to make those comparisons. I know he is hungry to score goals and make assists, so I have already had those conversations with him, but I do think we are quite different in our styles. Kai can probably start in more forward areas than I started in. I like to come in from deep as a midfield player, and how he is very excited with the challenge. He wants to come here and be a top player for Chelsea and really prove his talents on this stage. That to me has been one of the most exciting things, not just to be excited about him arriving as a top talent, but to see his mentality as he has come in. That gives a really good feeling about how his career is going to be at Chelsea. So already impressing in training, already impressing Frank Lampard. Those words of Frank Lampard very much echoing the sentiments of Kai Havertz, why he came to Chelsea, the impact of Frank Lampard on Kai Havertz's decision to join Chelsea this summer. I'm interested to see if he does start that game on Monday, where does he play? Because in terms of formation, Mateo Kovacic, unfortunately, is not going to be available for the game. That suspension, which I think is really stupid. It shouldn't have been a red card in the FA Cup final, but unfortunately, due to stupid rules, Mateo Kovacic, we can't even appeal the second yellow, which I think is a really antiquated rule. It needs to be changed, because I just think that was a massive mistake by Anthony Taylor, obviously, which is going to affect us for this opening game. And it's a bit of a shame, because I very much envisioned that we could see a 4-2-3-1 in this game, which we may still see, but I thought Kova and Kante, a bit like the way they played with each other in the pre-season friendly, that could be a good combo to start the season with, but Frank doesn't have that available to him, so it may be more likely we see a 4-3-3, and then in that case I think you could see Kai Havertz playing on the right and maybe Mason Mount on the left of that. Of course, I'll do my team selector over the weekend, what I think is going to happen, but also for me, how Frank manages Kai over the season, you know, in terms of his system, what type of player will we be in Chelsea's system, you know, the 4-2-3-1, the 4-3-3, if he's that sort of second striker, because there could be a case where we'd love to see in a very attacking system, which Chelsea are going to have this season, Mason Mount and Kai Havertz, that sort of second striker. But both of those players sort of do that in similar ways. You know, very much Mason Mount was trying to be that last season, linking with Tammy Abraham and Olivier Giroud. Could Kai operate in the same areas? I think there is the thing as well of left and right in Chelsea's attack. You know, on the left, you very much feel like Timo Werner and Christian Pulisic will dominate that area, whilst maybe Ziyech and Havertz will dominate the right of Chelsea's attack. And of course, with the fullbacks coming in as well, just how Kai operates more in central areas. Will he start with a 4-2-3-1? There's been a lot of talk about that. I'm not entirely sure at the moment. I think that's due to player availability. And my big concern, as I state a lot of the time on this channel, is balance between midfield and defence and not being caught on transition. In games where I think, like Brighton, I think Chelsea have the capability to dominate a lot of the ball, maybe a 4-3-3 could work, and I think that very high energy system can work for Chelsea. And Kai Havertz and Mason Mount, I think, could be a very threatening and very effective midfield too. Those two number 8s bombing forward. Of course, you've got LOFTUS-CHEEK fit. Frank could opt to play him as well in that area. So it's going to be interesting to see how he lines up on Monday, especially if Kai Havertz starts. Please let me know your opinions. Where do you think Kai Havertz will play for Chelsea this season? Of course, he's got that versatility to play in a lot of areas, but please let me know in the comments below. And lastly, going to be talking about Fikayo Tomori's potential loan to Everton. It seems to be up in the air at the moment. A few days ago, James Ollie from ESPN broke the story that it seemed like Everton were very close to getting Fikayo Tomori on loan. As you can see here, Chelsea defender Fikayo Tomori close to joining Everton on a season-long loan. The 22-year-old has attracted interest from a number of clubs, including Rennes and Newcastle, but Everton are thought to be in pole position with talks at an advanced stage. But just before I give my reaction to this, Simon Johnson tweeted this about Tomori this morning on his account. So Tomori's loan from CFC to Everton is in the balance. There is still a possibility they'll be part of Lampard's plans this season. Sounds like opinions are split on what happens next. Doesn't sound like it'll be resolved soon. Will Everton wait? Tomori does want regular game time this season to get back into the England squad. Can Chelsea give him that? Decisions. As it seems like Chelsea conflicted by sending Fikayo Tomori out on loan, I'm conflicted as well by this. I can see both sides of the argument, and it's in similar ways to Ethan Ampadu, because Ampadu I would have maybe seen as a good rotation player this year, but the fact he got barely any playing time last year, I think it's realistic to send him out on loan, especially if he doesn't get any chances this year and he isn't going to be a starter. It's great that he goes, plays under Chris Wilder, maybe becomes a starter there. They have a good year for his development in a good setup. With Fikayo Tomori, I think it's a different situation, because that defense is really shaky. We don't know what that defense is going to look like. And could Fikayo Tomori be a key ingredient in that defense, a bit like he was earlier parts of the 1920 season, where, by Frank Lampard's own words, he was one of Chelsea's best defenders. Fikayo Tomori, I believe, has a bright future at Chelsea. And there probably is that conflict because Lampard wants options. Thiago Silva +1 is what we're saying at the moment. It seems like that would be maybe Kurt Zouma, the most realistic option based on form. It seems really confusing to me the way Fikayo Tomori barely got any playing time, especially post around December, which is a long time considering we had lockdown as well. And he didn't even get any playing time at Project Restart, considering how poor the defence during periods of that time as well in the Premier League. That he didn't even get a look in the Bayern game, which for me was a dead rubber. I thought he would get some minutes there, but he didn't. Of course, he got injured at very unlucky times for him over the season, which of course ruled him out the team. Rudiger got his place back. Christensen went ahead in the pecking order. I can see why Lampard would still want him because I think he was a key player, obviously, for him at Derby, early periods at Chelsea. We saw that, and I think it's the combination of learning off of Thiago Silva for me that could be a big benefit to a player like Fikayo Tomori. And you think of a combination of a wiser defender like Thiago Silva with that maturity and leadership, who isn't maybe as quick off his feet, but you've got Fikayo Tomori, who I think is really good at recovery tackles and recovery runs, just behind him maybe, and they could learn and have a good chemistry with each other over the season, and Tomori could learn off that and benefit and upgrade his game over the year with Thiago Silva. But learning off Thiago Silva, he has to be playing regularly. If he's not playing regularly and maybe just, learning off Thiago Silva by watching him on the bench, I don't think he's good for his development. And I think that would be more of a benefit to him to go to play at Everton week in, week out. I know they've had injuries to their defence, and that's why they've gone in for Fikayo Tomori. Interesting as well, Everton could have got Tomori last season. It seemed like they wanted him last year. But of course, David Luiz leaving for Arsenal meant that Tomori stayed, and of course, then he got his opportunity. I think it's good the club are conflicted about it and they're thinking about the decision before making it and sending Tomori out on loan straight away before the season actually starts on Monday. Maybe they're thinking to themselves, of course, the window shuts in October. You'll have a few Premier League games till then, and maybe by then we'll have a clearer picture of Frank Lampard's sort of starting players. And if Tomori's part of that, if he's definitely part of the plans, you could get injuries to key defenders as well, and that could help Tomori get up the pecking order as well. And then by then, Frank Lampard thinks, actually, no, Tomori's going to be a part of the first team squad. He's going to be a regular part of my starting 11. But if we start the season and Zouma, Christensen and Rudiger get more play time and Tomori's just sat on the bench, maybe not even in the squad for some games, then yeah, that's the obvious choice, and Chelsea buying themselves a little bit of time with this decision. So please let me know your opinions on Fikayo Tomori. Should he stay? Should he go this season for his development on loan at Everton? Please let me know in the comments below. But that is it for this edition of Let's Talk Chelsea. Thank you guys so much for taking the time to watch it. If you did enjoy it, hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Follow me on Twitter @SonOfChelsea. Have a great day, and I'll see you again.